Oh, I think I see them.
Hi.
Hi, guys. How are you?
We're well. How are you?
Good, good. It is good to see you guys. We have people kind of are probably going to join over the next couple minutes here. But we do also have bowls going on at the same time. So at least this is being recorded so that we can post it on the YouTube channel. If you scroll down, you guys, to the bottom of your screen, Janet and Gabe, there's a green button in the middle that says share screen. That's what you guys are going to use. So feel free to take it away. I'm going to put myself on mute.
Okay. All right, can you guys see the screen? Okay.
Yeah. Is this something that you guys share? Would you be willing to share this so we can put it into Scott's One Spot for Resources Google Drive?
Yes.
Certainly.
Okay, awesome.
You guys can see the full screen of this one? Okay. All right, welcome everyone. We're Janet and Gabe Ruffolo. I am with Keller Williams. We have a mega office here in Sturtevant, Wisconsin. We were originally with Milwaukee Southwest, so we know a lot of familiar faces, and thank you for joining us today. We're going to go over some information that we've been asked to share on short sales. We'll get a little bit into foreclosures and some information in regards to mortgages with the COVID-19. We'll just ask that you either put your questions in the chat so we can get through as much information as possible, and we'll also try to save some time for questions at the end, okay? Go ahead, you're first.
Oh, who we are, Gabe and Janet Ruffalo. I'm licensed with Keller Williams Momentum out of Illinois. We used to be with Southwest. Prior to that, I worked at Chase Bank as a short sale negotiator, helped 2,000 families avoid foreclosure, and gotten their short sales approved. In 2015, Janet actually became licensed because I got sick and tired of working with other realtors that didn't know short sales. And I was doing all the work and really doing all the work, and then I was getting paid to negotiate, but I would have to share some of that commission with them. Janet, tell me your story.
So I started out as a realtor in just working with short sales. So I did nothing traditionally, meaning traditional is just a sale between seller and buyer, and that's what most of you realtors are dealing with. So I just learned short sales for the first couple years, which you'll find is the sale is very different than your traditional sale. So I became the face of the business. After a couple years, Gabe said, let's start a team, which is like starting a second business. We definitely have two businesses that work together, but very separately. So now, fast forwarding a little bit, we have our own mega office. We've got a buyer's agent. We've got a full-time assistant who actually knows short sales. It's Gabe and myself. All three of us are licensed, and my assistant's actually getting licensed as well. So that's kind of where we're at now. These slides are a little bit out of date because a lot of things change with the times, and we've been growing. Let's see, now we are branding as the Ruffolo team. And I wrote part of a book with Knowing Worth with Kim, Rodney, and some other people here on the call. And in our spare time, as you can see, we enjoy riding our Harleys. We do some trips into other states, door to door with our Harleys. Our son plays goalie in hockey, which he's not doing right now. Gabe has an older son, Thomas, and we enjoy traveling to different places.
Okay, with the COVID-19, and if people are having problems with their mortgages, if they're behind, everybody's heard about forbearance. Forbearance is only temporary. There's a lot of misinformation out there between what banks are offering and what Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, USDA, all these investors that back these loans. So it's just a temporary relief. Basically, right now is what the banks are saying, that they'll start out at a 3-month. So we started with COVID back in March. So if you couldn't make your April payment, you could put April, May, and June in a forbearance program. Then come July, you would owe those 3 payments plus your July payment, is what the banks are telling everybody. There's also information out there that says you can do it up for a year. They're not doing it for a year, or you can roll the payments back into the end of the loan. They're not offering that right now. So when you're advising somebody, make sure that they know their options. Don't give them any legal advice when it comes to this, because it's your license. And if you don't know all the information, they have to find it out for themselves. Don't put yourself in a situation where you could have a lawsuit on your hands.
And Gabe and I both heard, and we all have, the media, don't trust everything you hear. So on the news and even on Facebook, social media, they're saying that there's misinformation. So I guess our best tip on this, if anyone asks you, is just make sure they call their lender, their bank, for details. The next slide is really just explaining how. So call your lender and ask them your options due to a hardship caused by COVID-19. So you definitely need that borrower needs to say caused by COVID-19, because these lenders have different lines and people and programs available. So you have to make mention of COVID-19 in order to see what your options are. Ask for details about the forbearance or deferment options. Get their name, ID number. A lot of these people, they're in a call center. They'll have a long ID number. Write down the date and time that you called, because you want, advise someone that they want a journal of that. Hold times will be longer than normal. Gabe, you're experiencing that.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, basically, what is a short sale? This was taken basically off the SSO or SSL, right? SSL that goes with your short sale listing.
Okay, I'll read this one. So we're going to go over what a short sale is, and then how you can identify it, and as a realtor when you're working with potential leads. So the sale of the property will likely be a short sale. The sales price may not be enough to pay all debts and obligations secured by mortgages and other liens, together with closing costs. Seller must negotiate a written agreement with their lender whereby the lender will accept less than what is actually owed to release the mortgage on the property. That's the goal of a short sale. Accordingly, any offer accepted by seller must include a short sale contingency requiring prior lender approval of the transaction. And then it just explains what the loans lenders mean. That's an SSO and a short sale offer addendum. And a short sale is often used as an alternative to foreclosure. And we'll get into a little more detail about that because it mitigates additional fees and costs to both the creditor and the borrower. So here's a short sale example, because all that's what does that all mean? So in layman's terms, it means we have Johnny and Susie home buyer. They own a house on 123 Main Street. They've fallen behind and they're no longer able to make their mortgage payment. They have a lien on their home. Their mortgage due is $150,000. The home on the market, so you're a realtor, you go in and say, in this location condition, this house, the most it can sell for is $100,000. So you're not going to be able to sell it to pay everybody off. What we would try to do in a short sale is get the bank to agree to accept $100,000 as a payoff, actually to release that loan, leaving a deficiency of $50,000. When negotiating a short sale, we negotiate the deficiency waiver, and that means that the bank forgives them between the difference between what is owed and what the house is sold for. These
are just examples why a bank or a lender would allow a short sale. foreclosure process can be extremely expensive and it can be a long process. There's attorney's fees, there's holding costs if the bank does foreclose on the property. They have to pay the property taxes. They may have to pay maintenance if they're not maintaining it. They may have to pay for gas and electric, winterization of the property. Foreclosure affects the bank's ratings if they have too many. That's where we saw when where larger banks came in and bought smaller banks and they were taken over by the FDIC. In many cases, a second, a third, or a fourth mortgage could be their only option for payment when it comes down to this.
So I added this one just because sometimes people get confused about what a short sale is versus what a foreclosure is. A foreclosure is legal action where, once again, that seller's behind on their mortgage, they don't do anything, and that bank actually takes control of their property. They take the property back, they evict the homeowner, and they sell the home to anyone, or if no one buys it, to themselves. The house is bank or lender owned, and they hire a realtor usually to sell it as is. So when you're on the MLS and you see REO, foreclosure, that lender has hired a realtor to sell that home. The lender will negotiate through that listing agent directly, and that lender may have specific forms that you'll find on the MLS and documents, and or their own offer many times that you need to write on. This is a sheet, and I'll share all this with you guys because it's kind of hard to read on the screen, but this just kind of alludes to some short sale versus foreclosure, what I call tips and tricks. It kind of differentiates between, it breaks them down by credit score, credit history. Obviously, you can see this. The big one that I want to point out here is, why on earth would a seller choose to do a short sale? So on their record, okay? So when a short sale is done, it'll be on their record and affect their home buying potential for a 2 to 3 year period after that short sale has been closed. So after 2 to 3 years, it's a lot less damaging to their record. They could buy a home. A foreclosure it's underneath the future Fannie Mae loan one here, as you can see. So after a foreclosure, it's on the record for 7 to 10 years. So it's much more damaging to their record, and that's a big reason why, I would say, the biggest point of why a seller would agree to a short sale. Do you have anything on that one, Gary?
For a borrower to do a short sale, they have to have some sort of hardship. They just can't say, well, I bought this house in 2005 and I'm underwater and I want to sell it. That's not a documentable hardship. What determines the hardship? Someone who is or will soon be delinquent or facing foreclosure. The hardship has caused the homeowner to fall behind or become delinquent on their mortgage. These are just examples of a hardship: divorce or separation, death of a borrower or spouse, bankruptcy, overextension of credit, job loss, unemployment, reduced income, medical illness expenses, or they went on disability, distant job transfer, incarceration, or a business failure.
Sure. So I guess this would be for the realtor specific. How do you identify a short sale? So we get a lot of calls from you guys and asking questions, and so we just wanted to share this information. You know, many times you're listing a home and you're talking, and someone's going through a divorce. Maybe one of the either the ex-husband or wife currently lives there, the other one doesn't live there, the deeds in both of their names or the mortgage. So that's a general one that I would say happens a lot. And you just need to honestly ask that seller, is your mortgage current? Or, you know, if how much longer can you make that mortgage payment? So usually over time, depending on how long they've been in this divorce situation or going through this, they may be current or they may be falling behind. If they're behind, how many months? Some people have very little equity and they're not sure how long they can continue to pay that mortgage for. So a lis pendens has been filed. That's if they're already 91 days past due. They state they're upside down on the mortgage. Sometimes they'll say the bank is taking back my house. Well, that's a general statement. You need to kind of ask them more questions about that. Sometimes the lender will say, if they're facing a foreclosure, the lender will say, you need to find a realtor that can do a short sale. So they will make it that obvious for them. Or if they've been denied for loan modification or are unable to refinance. This is a seller questionnaire that I use to this day. We kind of developed just some talk points so that when you're on the phone with a client and you're hearing some of those potential short sale qualifiers, that you sound like you know what you're talking about, and there's some basic information that we need or that you need from that seller. So just going down, I mean, it's very basic. You need their names, the property address, the contact information. I put again on here if they want to sell or do nothing and the effects of the foreclosure versus a short sale. Ask them who their bank is. So if you're having that conversation with that divorced couple, for example, they say they're behind on their mortgage, who is the bank? Find that out. Do they have a second mortgage? How far behind? Is it listed with a realtor? Believe it or not, I've talked to some sellers, great sellers, for 20 minutes, and I don't even ask the question, and all of a sudden they say, oh, well, it's listed with whoever it may be. So make sure you're asking that. And then the water. How much is the water behind? Water is a lien that follows the property. If they're behind on their mortgage, many times they're behind on other bills as well. Here's where we get into the reason for the hardship. So we kind of went through those examples. Are they currently working? Have they filed bankruptcy? All that, that's just a matter of different paperwork that's needed or not. You want to know the status of the home. Is it vacant? Is it occupied? Are there tenants there? That makes it everything fun when you're trying to sell a house with tenants. And then you notice I've asked nothing really about the house besides the address. I many times will just say, are there any repairs that are needed? Can you tell me a little bit about the condition of the house? This is yours.
Documents required for a short sale. Basically, you need a complete package. You need a third-party authorization. That gives you the authorization to speak to the bank on behalf of your client. A hardship letter. That's just a letter that details why they fell behind in the payments, what's causing that hardship, whether it be divorce, what job loss, whatever it may be. A HUD or a closing disclosure. You can get that from the title company. They can work it up for you. I do have a program here where I can work up my own HUDs. Our assistant used to work at a title company, so she's very familiar with that. We need a purchase contract. If you have a purchase contract and you need a proof of funds, whether the people are paying cash or if they're going to get a loan. If they're purchasing an LLC, you need an operating agreement and the articles of incorporation. Many lenders have their own specific package that they use. We have probably over 80 packages because we've dealt with 80 banks just doing this for the past. I've been in the business of doing short sales for the past 11 years. And I did it outside in a real estate company. Then I went to Chase, and now I've been doing it since 2013 on my own with my own business. A financial worksheet or a request, it's called an RMA or a UBAF. RMA stands for Request for Mortgage Assistance. UBAF stands for Uniform Borrower's Assistance Form. Any letters of explanation that they may have. If they don't have pay stubs, we need to know why they don't have pay stubs. Or if they're not receiving unemployment, we need a letter from that. If they don't have a bank account, we need a letter for that. If they haven't filed their taxes in the past 10 years, those are all letters of explanation. Pay stubs, bank statements. 4506T, which is just a tax form which allows the bank to pull their tax transcripts directly from the IRS. The last 2 years of federal tax returns, they need to be signed and dated. They can just sign it if you meet with them one day. They can sign it that day. It just needs to be signed and dated that those are the official ones. A listing contract.
Finally.
and an SSL to go with it. And with your purchase, you need an SS. If you have the seller and the buyer, you do need an SSO. Property does need to go into the MLS. It needs to be the private version, showing active and listed as a short sale. If this just helps us along the way, a mortgage statement, because that'll have the loan number on there. It'll sort of tell us how much they owe or how much they're behind, what the principal balance is. If they are divorced, I need a copy of the divorce decree, because usually that tells me if one or the other party was awarded the property, because some of these divorces can get messy and sometimes people don't communicate anymore. If there was a quitclaim deed filed where one of the spouses signed off on it, or maybe a business partner signed off on the deal, we can do that, because then we only need documents from one party. If they filed bankruptcy, I need a copy of their bankruptcy docs showing it was discharged. If it's Chapter 13, I would like to get the documents stating that they're still in the program. Usually Chapter 13 lasts for 5 years. If somebody has passed away, say it's mom and dad's house, they passed away, the kids are dealing with this now, I would need a death certificate for the mother or the father. If it's a husband and wife, I need a copy for the spouse that passed away and the executor documents through the court.
That's a lot of paperwork. So here's a little bit an example of the timeline, because the biggest question that we get is how long does the short sale take? It does vary according to the actual lender and the seller. It depends how long it takes to get these documents as well. So you can see that someone on the left-hand side goes late 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. From that, the bank will issue a lis pendens, so they will file for a pre-foreclosure motion on that. Then looks like we'll work together. Let's say we get that lead at that time or that listing, we will have that third-party authorization form done, the listing contract. We'll submit that application. Those were a lot of the documents Gabe was talking about, is an application. The homeowner actually has to apply for a short sale. Similar to loan modification, very similar paperwork, but it's for a short sale to sell that property. Then from there, we have an offer right away, or it's on the MLS and we're looking for that offer. So once there's an offer, then the whole packet goes to, because the bank has to have an offer in order to determine the value of that property. They just won't send somebody there or spend any time or money until someone actually writes an offer to buy that property. So when the bank assigns a loss mitigator or a processor at many times to review the paperwork, make sure you got everything, then with that offer, they'll assign a BPO, which is a broker price opinion. That's an agent or realtor other than yourself, and or an appraiser, depending on what type of mortgage that they had. An appraiser, we obviously know who that is. Usually on the back end, that happens with our deals, right? Then anything additional that the bank needs, or any special addendums they'll ask for. Then we negotiate, or you can negotiate with the bank for the final approval. So they're looking at that offer based on their price, and they're saying, yes, this meets what we want, or no, we want a bigger amount or a larger amount. Then once that's agreed upon, which, I mean, this is very simplified terms. There's a lot more that goes on in between this, but for this timeline, your goal is to get an approval letter saying the bank will accept less than what is owed, and the bank will dictate that closing time. If I know we could go, and then we actually go to closing at a title company just like normal. There's a lot more that could go into that, but that's a general.
That's just a general. That's like a 10,000-foot view. There's all kinds of stuff going on in the background. If you look at I negotiate short sales all the time. I'm probably on the phone with the bank 2 to 3 times a week per each file, following up, making sure they have everything, trying to get that appraisal or BPO scheduled, making sure they have everything. There might be some additional documents that they send that have to be executed during the short sale process. we're always looking at trying to get that approval letter. And then once we get the approval letter, we have to review it, make sure that deficiency is waived, make sure that they're not asking for any type of cash contribution from the homeowner. And then we set the closing date. We work with the title company, have them work the final HUD up, have to send that over sometimes 72 hours to 48 hours before the closing. Then we can set the closing. Then we do that, and then we have to send all the documents in, and then it's finally closed. So
it's quite a bit of stuff that's involved there in that little slide. So how can we help you as a realtor? So as you can see, it is a lengthy process and a lot of parts and moving pieces involved. You can do it on your own. However, if you'd like to, we can partner with you. And there's a number of Keller Williams agents we work with, along with other realtors, to successfully work with your seller and get this thing to closing. So we will talk with your seller if you want, either with you or separately. I mean, we've done it however your client and you want to work that out. We're more than willing to be flexible. We will get the specific lender application and forms that are needed for your client or your listing, the seller. We'll email you weekly updates as we move through the process. Sometimes they're more frequently. Some weeks, not a lot's happening with the bank. They're just calling and checking to make sure that they've received paperwork, like you said. Other times they might need something more specific, and so we'll be reaching out to you as that process goes on. We work together as a team. So you're the agent, you're the realtor, and we work with you, and we work with that seller and their lender or lenders. We free up your time by, obviously, Gabe sitting on hold with the lenders and calling, like he said, at least once a week to help the file move through the process. We work with you and your seller from start to closing. So we don't really ever give up. I mean, Gabe is fabulous in what he does. I mean, he knows the front door, the back door, he knows the side angle. I mean, he doesn't take no for an answer because he knows that with being the bank at one point, he understands that these files can go through all the way. And if he, hears no, you just don't accept that. So he knows how to push through those obstacles. And then honestly, as an agent, it costs you nothing. As the seller or the homeowner, it costs them nothing. And I think that's really important as well. The buyer actually pays the short sale specialist fee at the time of closing. And the best part is you can keep your full commission. Okay.
Your responsibility as a listing agent. We're partnering. All I'm acting as the negotiator on the deal. Basically, we've talked to you, walked you through how to list the property, how to fill out each form, how the bank's going to want it. You email us the listing agreement, the documents. You're going to meet that homeowner. You're going to collect that list of documents that was in this slideshow earlier. You're going to put a copy in the MLS. You're going to print me out. And again, we assist you in how to write the short sale listing and how it should be worded and what blanks need to be there because they are very specific. And if you miss something, they'll make you do the listing agreement over or go back to the seller and have them initial everything. Again, collect short sale application, financial documents, paperwork needed from the sellers throughout the entire process. I sort of like to add on that because I also do this for a lot of investors. And when you're presenting this to your client as the listing agent, you sort of introduce us as part of your team. I have the seller's information and I will personally reach out to them to get these documents because if I tell you, then you got to tell them and then they got to get them to you and you got to get them to me. Right. So I would rather let the seller know that I'll be contacting them for any documents that might be needed throughout the process. That way, we're not slowing the process down anymore. need you to go in there and take pictures. Now, when you're trying to sell a home for $500,000 and it's all ready to move in and it's beautiful, you want the best pictures possible.
Right.
When you're trying to do a short sale, it's sort of the opposite. You want the crappiest pictures you can find of that house because you're trying to sell it for a number that the bank will accept, and you want to keep it low so you can attract as many buyers as you can to get an offer on it.
And this is where it's very different when you're looking as a realtor. So I go in as an investor to think, well, what repairs are needed, and taking pictures of, like Gabe said, you're taking pictures of every room like you normally would, but also just click pictures of something like chipped and peeling paint or rotted wood or flooring that would need to be replaced. So you're going to take extra pictures, take pictures of all the mechanicals, ask about the roof, think how old they are, and think what would need to be replaced, repaired, or fixed up. You're coordinating all the showings and feedback through the MLS like you normally would.
And then you're putting a lockbox on there. You're providing us with that code. If the property's vacant, don't allow appraisals through the MLS, because we want to know when we're going there. Because when you're trying to do a short sale, we want to meet that appraiser out there and point out anything, or BPO agent, we want to point anything that might be a defect in the property. Because if we got a house that's right next door that's selling and it's a regular retail house, and then they compare it to your house, they might say it's worth more than what you can sell it for, and your short sale won't go through. So then any offers that you get, we'll review them and make sure that they're written correctly. You can't use e-signatures on a short sale. It all has to be wet signatures for the most part. With some of the stuff that's going on, they're getting a little bit more lenient with the e-signatures. But if we go back to something where they're not, I don't want to say, yeah, it's okay to have an e-sign, and then all of a sudden it's not. And there are specific forms when we get to an approval letter that may need wet signatures on there. Whatever title company you're using to coordinate it, I would like the contact information with that title company. We'll order the title on it. We'll do all that stuff. We'll review the title. We'll interact with that title company. If there's additional liens on there, what needs to be done, homestead affidavits, there's all kinds of things. I could go down a wormhole here, and I'm not going to.
But I guess the best point would be, Dave, if they're behind on their mortgage, many times, right, they're behind on
other payments. Now, this is our responsibility. We stay in contact with the sellers and the lenders from start to finish, and we also are in contact with you. I have a system that I use. It's called Realty Commander. I put all your information in there. Every time I touch that file, call the bank, upload documents, request documents, you're going to get an email sent to you. You're going to see, you can log in 24/7 to see where we're at with the file, what's going on with the file, how close we are to an approval to get everything in there. We're going to, when we start the short sale, we're going to find out what bank it is. We're going to email you those forms that need to be signed, and stuff that's going to come up through the short sale process that banks don't typically put out there right away, but may send it a later date. We work with the title company to ensure free and clear title so that we can close, answer any questions or concerns that you, the sellers, the buyer's agents may have. We've done this so many times, it's easy. So don't feel overwhelmed if you don't know something. Just reach out to us. We'll coordinate closing with all parties to ensure it runs smoothly. We work with the lender to get the sale, if there is one, postpone or cancel the sale dates if they do come up during the process. We never charge the seller or sellers. We collect the fee at the time of closing from the buyer. And questions. Now we can open it up. Anybody have any questions? And we can go in there.
Not very much.
So this was awesome, guys. So I do have a question. So say I get a tip on someone that has a short sale for I'm in Cedarburg, so somewhere down in Racine, and I don't even want to deal with any of it. Do you guys do a normal referral where you guys do the listing, everything from start to finish?
So yes, we will. If you want to just refer that, I actually got one from Jeff Nevin just yesterday. I don't.
Okay.
My caution is we don't pay 20, 25%, depending on the property, I should say. So it does range. I mean, if the property is selling for $50,000, I'm not going to pay 25% out. It's just way too much work, as you can imagine. So yes, we will take referrals, but we'll just, we'll work it out on a case-by-case basis as far as the amount. Does that answer your question?
Yep, perfect.
And I think Mandy was on here. We did partner with Mandy on one in the past as well, where she sort of.
Hi, Mandy.
I'm here.
So we did partner with Mandy on one, where we took the listing, did all that stuff. She had the seller, and we basically took it over and just did it a referral, like Jen just asked.
Yeah, and it worked out great. I mean, you guys kept me updated throughout the entire process, and it was at a time which was kind of awkward because I switched brokerages. So, but you guys still managed to keep everything on track. Anything that pertained to me, your communication was great. So there was no issues. You guys did me a huge favor on that one, and the seller seemed to be very pleased in the end. So she got to go where she needed to go and the timeline she wanted to be there. So that's what mattered.
Right.
That's great. There is a question in the chat box from Cody. She says, on the buyer side of the short sale, what do those fees like that the buyers would be responsible for? Like the buyer premium that they pay.
So we do, our fee it's a $10,000 fee that we charge. It depends. It sometimes can be less. I mean, if the property, again, is $50,000, you can't charge a fifth of it in a buyer's premium. So the question was, what is the fee? So it's $10,000. We will work with you on the wording of how it needs to be written in the MLS. There's a disclosure that I send with you to you, and then also how it needs to be written in the offer. So, I mean, we've done this for many years. We have a really nice process and system that we work through time and time again. So we will get you all that information, but yes, it's paid by the buyer. If the buyer's cash, they pay it cash. If it's financing it in with a lender, we will get that information. We'll work with that lender if needed as well. So if there's financing.
Can I clarify my question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I have a buyer who we put an offer in on a short sale and now we're just waiting. So am I understanding correctly that the purchase price or the list price of the short sale is one thing and then they might get a $10,000 fee associated, or is that on the back end of the agent who is listing this short sale?
No. I don't know what your property says on the MLS for the listing. Basically, it's something that we had come up with in regards to charge that, and we fully disclose everything on the MLS.
Okay.
If you look up at one of Janet's listings, it'll say a $10,000 buyer premium. In addition to the purchase price, we have forms.
So your question, Cody, is on your particular deal, is there a buyer's premium?
Yeah, and when I look, with MLS, nothing like that is listed, and I've been in contact with the listing agent throughout the process, and nothing like that has been brought up. I just would hate to be in a situation where, we finally get approval from the bank right now. We're just waiting, and then, there's a surprise fee for my buyers.
Correct. So what's happening in this case is the listing agent is negotiating on behalf of the seller with the lender, and then they're not charging a fee. The reason that we do it the way we do it is we negotiate, let's say 30, we carry about 30 short sales at a time. So as a listing agent and running a team and doing these short sales, I cannot do it all as one person. So the way that I word it is I hire short sales specialists, or let's say you, agent at Keller Williams, hire and partner short sales specialists, a team to work these deals from start to close. So that frees up my time as an agent to do all the things that we do. So Cody, to answer your question, there is probably not a buyer's premium. It's not a lender thing. It's not a general short sale thing. We just figured out a legal way to partner with other agents to help the most amount of sellers possible to get through these short sales. And with Gabe's expertise and him having all that knowledge, I mean, it's not general knowledge out there. This brokerage or agent is just working it as part of the commission that she's earning on the list side, right, Gabe? She's not charging anything.
Okay, super.
Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. I had a holy crap moment for a second.
No, and you would have to, like, it would have to be listed on the MLS. That's where I'm saying, like, if you look at ours, they all have them on there. If you look at XYZ Realty that might do a one-off short sale here or there, they probably won't charge for it. I guess it's a buyer's agent, and I know Kathy Whitaker had asked me to address, like, from the buyer's side too, like, what should you guys look for when you're seeing, you know, an REO, a foreclosure, a short sale on the MLS, and you're that buyer's agent? My tip would be to you, because I do more of the listings. I get a lot of calls from the buyer's agents. Read everything they have. So I know I'll just speak specifically on my listings for short sales. I've got that buyer premium. I've got a 3-page disclosure. I've got everything in an order wording that can be understood. And I get a lot of calls from agents, and they'll ask me a question, and the answer's on that disclosure. So, but you know, I would say as a buyer's agent, just read everything on the foreclosures. I mean, we've dealt with buyers that have foreclosures. Like I mentioned before, there could be specific forms. The documents tab is going to be your best friend. So the listing agent puts a lot of good information besides just your real estate condition report in the documents tab. So my advice, honestly, is read everything that you can find on that listing before you call that listing agent.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? I know we covered a lot of information, guys. Now is your time. We just didn't want to spiral down and go too deep, too fast. Anything else?
I have one more, just I guess because I'm new and I'm also in the middle of a short sale offer. Gabe, in your experience, I know checking the status of where the bank is with the offer is not really a thing, but is there a way to kind of see the status of where the offer is in the pipeline without continually bothering the listing agent?
No, I mean,
So I have a short sale.
yeah, well, short sales aren't short, they're long. You just, I mean, there's certain questions you can ask, like, how long ago did you write, you know, before you wrote on it? I would ask, they have it up for, let's just say $100,000. We're just going to use an easy number. So you write on a short sale and it's listed for $100,000. Do you know, first question I would ask is, has a BPO or an appraisal been done? Or in the private or public remarks, has it been notated that bank approved short sale at list price? That's going to tell you, okay, it needs to come in close there. If they don't have a value, right now it's a crapshoot, because you could send 100 people out there to appraise that house, and you could have 100 different opinions of what that house is worth. So that's sort of where you're just asking questions up front, and the more and more you do it, you know, has an appraisal been ordered? Have you collected all the documents from your homeowner?
Right.
When's the last time you sent them in? Because documents are usually good for 60 to 90 days, and then you have to go back and get updated documents. So That's why when we're doing a short sale, we tell people that we're doing the short sale. Save every pay stub, save every bank statement. You know, I'm going to send you another form. You have to redate it because your authorization is only good for 3 months with certain banks. So just by doing it and knowing what the parameters are and what the banks are looking for, we're sort of on top of that stuff. So those are some things that you could ask. Again, has an appraisal or BPO been done? Have you sent all the documents in from the seller?
Right. And do you know, have you asked any of those questions, Cody?
I'm sorry?
Have you asked that agent any of those questions?
There was an appraisal done. It's already a bank approved short sale. Property's vacant and all of that, but I haven't asked specifically about documents on the seller side, if they've been updated or anything like that. It has been on the market for longer than 3 months. So, you know, my gut says, yeah, they're probably going to need to get those updated forms now.
Right. The other thing that I find too is when I first got into short sales, I didn't know anything. I just learned Gabe's way, his system, the way we do it. Now, when I look at other, and I'm not going to say everyone, but most of the time, a listing agent will list it as a short sale. They will wait until they get an offer. Then that bank will say, we need an application from the seller. We need financial documents. And so that's a huge holdup. We kind of, if you want to look at it that way, we do things backwards, which Gabe understands it's not backwards. So we get everything from that seller ahead of time. Then we do the listing. We get the offer really quickly. I mean, I would say, what, Gabe, 8 out of 10 times we put our short sales up with an offer, unless it's that super nice property that is going to be, doesn't need any repairs. And, you know, Susie and Bob and their kids can move right in. I mean, that's usually not our properties. A lot of times they're distressed and they're in rough shape. But if that makes sense, those are all, we're trying to help you guys from the buyer's perspective with what questions to ask. Because if that agent's had it listed for 100 days, has no paperwork from the seller, has a short sale, knows that she needs an offer, gets an offer from you, for example, and then is going to the seller to get all the documentation, oh my gosh, Dave, how long would that takes? It takes a long time, you guys, just to get all that information from the seller. So we want to maximize the time that we have with that buyer's agent or with that buyer offer. We don't want to maximize, we actually want to minimize that time, right? Would you say that that's, how do you find, is that an accurate statement of how these agents usually are typically?
Yeah, they're just putting it up there hoping they get an offer, and then, you know, once they get an offer, they'll throw it in there. Or the bank's only going to work one short sale offer at a time.
Yep.
Those are some things you need to know.
Foreclosure, not so much, right?
Foreclosure, you can get highest and best.
That's another fun question. And you guys, we are available, honestly, for any of you to call. So Cody, after this call, I mean, if you want to call us, email us. I mean, we are here to answer questions on both the buyer side, the seller side. If you're talking to someone, I've gotten calls from other agents that say, I don't know if it's a short sale. Here's my situation. Recently, I was on the phone with Karen Block. She has one in our area that may turn into a short sale. They have got just a little bit of equity. They've got divorced. So there's so many situations we could spend. I mean, Gabe does spend days training investors, working on these short sales, like the trainings and the learning. So we're just trying to make it as, I guess, agent specific and friendly to you guys. But if you get that one-off, I mean, we are here. We are the experts in short sales. You can give other agents our number. You can give other people our number. I mean, we'll do our absolute best to answer any questions based on the situation.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we can talk afterwards about it. Anyone else have any questions, anything you're seeing, anything you're not understanding?
So, quick question. So when you went over the slides, you mentioned something about more than one offer. Are you trying to get multiple offers on the property and then trying to, or are you just going with the first offer that comes in?
There's many times when let's just say I list a property and it's an attractive price. That's always going to be the way it is. I can get multiple offers at the same time. I've gotten as many as 11 offers one time on a property. Boy, is that a lot of work. So yes, we can get multiple offers. Here's another situation. Let's just pretend. Let's say an investor of mine writes an offer, and then that BPO value Mandy comes back at a price that the investor's like, well, I can't pay that. That's way too much money. Well, then that offer will then go out. So then we'll do a camera. So that active with offer status will then be changed to active at the price the bank wants. And then I need another offer. So, and then when it goes like that, values approved at list price only type of wording, Mandy, then the floodgates just open up, because what we have very low inventory right now. That investor has kind of ate up a lot of time, but we also found out how much that bank will take for that short sale. Does that make sense? So multiple offers can come in at the same time.
So
That
I mean,
makes sense.
and if they do come in and we know that we're getting multiple offers, we'll say, you need to put your highest and best, your buyer's highest and best. We're getting multiple offers.
Yep.
And then we'll go through the offers, look at the terms, decide based upon the terms, what's the best offer for the bank, for the seller to get this done. And then we'll go with that offer. And then that, that person's moved in. And sometimes you can just send in the new offer and you don't have to send in new documents and you can get approval quickly. Yep. Sometimes the bank makes you start all over. They put you back at the back of the line and you go through a process again. So it might take a little bit longer. A lot of the clients that Janet and I work with, and she's mentioning we usually have an offer pretty quickly. We work with a lot of investors. We market to 15 counties in Wisconsin. We go as far as up as Green Bay. We go as far west as Beloit. We have investors in the Fox City areas. I actually do short sales in Minnesota, Missouri, Ohio, Michigan. I do them all over. So it's not one specific area.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll call me, sometimes they'll call the investor. So that's how we've built our business and how we can reach out to so many people and have so many short sales at the time. I mean, I went through it last year and the MLS, and I think I closed like 30 out of all the short sales in the MLS that were closed, we closed 30% of them.
In the Metro MLS.
In the Metro MLS area. So
3 out of 10. And that's closed. So we probably listed, and I would say our percentage, Dave, what would you say of percentage, like short sales taken versus closed? Probably 80 to 85%. So out of 10 short sales we get, we close 8 or I'd say 8 or more, 8 or 9. So there's multiple reasons why those other ones don't work out, but we definitely take the time and do what it takes to get it done. And like you said, Mandy, that seller was very happy. They're getting forgiven of a huge deficiency. They're able to close that chapter. I mean, sometimes houses, as realtors, we think houses they're the best thing. To be a homeowner is amazing. Well, when bad things happen to good people, a lot of times, like those hardships, it's a burden to them. It's a negative. They just want this portion of their life closed. So when I say it's like, it's a different transaction, it really is. I mean, you think like, how many net sheets do we do when we say, oh, we're, sell your house, you're going to be happy and make $40,000. Selling their house, and Mandy shaking her head, she talked with this seller is very, very different. There's tears, there's hugs, not now. There's frustration, there can be anger. Honestly, you guys, I think it's like a grieving process. So like the loss of their home is like, some of it take it like the loss of a person. It's like a death to them. And some of them, the house just holds very bad memories. I mean, we could spend seriously, oh my gosh, a long time. I mean, Knowing Worth, if you guys have not written that book, I'm going to give it one plug. Chapter 1 is my story about a short sale lady that had cancer. She was very special to me, near and dear. She may have died and I may have gotten her cat. Okay. So that doesn't happen with every single one of them, but at the end of the day, I mean, we're all talking about business and making money. This is what I think we do, like Keller Williams culture. I can just testify for this because we are all with Keller Williams here, thank God. The culture is contribution, to come from a place of contribution. And at the end of the day, this is, for me, my highest level of contribution and satisfaction in my job and what I do. It sounds weird, but these people are very grateful and thankful for all the blood, sweat, and tears that we go through to get these short sales through. And it is helpful to them. And I don't know, the feeling is, I can't really explain it, but it's very rewarding. And Gabe and I, you know, as a husband and wife team, there's no stronger bond, and we built our business around this, and we help as many people as possible. So we kind of went through the mechanics and obviously the process, which is very much more black and white and wasn't really and emotional. But believe me, as Mandy can attest, they'll tell you their story and why they're losing their home, and it's very interesting. And I'm going to write another book about these short sales because it's just really heartfelt. And honestly, I would advise anyone right now that comes up with anyone that needs help, and it's going to happen more and more with this COVID-19. Keep them in your, keep your eyes open for them, your ears peeled. Let us know. We can help a lot of people now going through this, and to partner with Keller Williams agents would be a great thing. And we would be honored to partner with you guys and help you.
Well, thank you for sharing all this information. I know it's going to be extremely helpful as we're going through pivoting and shifting and all this stuff that's going to be coming up ahead of us. I mean, we're lucky we're still in a seller's market at this point, but I can just imagine some of the stories we're going to hear moving forward. We're already starting to hear some of them as we're making our care calls, but we're going to start hearing a lot more.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, thank you guys. We really appreciate everything that you shared with us today.
No problem. Enjoy it. I love it. Call me crazy.
Yep, it takes a special kind of crazy, I guess, to do these, but we like them. So let us know, guys, how we can help, when we can help. Thank you for your time and in listening to our call today.
All right, have a good day.
Great one. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.